Welcome to the reconnects podcast. In this podcast, your host, Lori Amin, will interview published authors to chat about their work, journey to getting published, and their book recommendations. If you share a passion for books and always looking for your next read, then join us. Hi, Thien-Kim. Welcome to reconnects podcast.
Hi, Laura. It's really good to be here.
I'm so happy to have you here. So excited to chat with you. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. My name is Thien-Kim Lam, and I am a debut romance author. My book, Happy Endings, is coming out. It should be out by the time you hear this. And I just love to write about Vietnamese-American characters. And I like to have a coffee addiction. I drink a lot of coffee, trying to cut back. And I also run a business called Bawdy Bookworms, where I pair diverse romances with erotic toys.
I love this. Let's talk about Bawdy Bookworms first, and then we'll talk about happy endings because I got so much to ask. So let's talk about, so when inspired you to start Bawdy Bookworms and how does that work?
I started Bawdy Bookworms almost 6 years ago. I can't believe it's been that long. And it started because I have a lot of experience selling sex toys at home parties. I used to be a direct sales consultant, much like Trixie in my book. I had 12 years experience doing that. And a lot of friends would come and ask me for recommendations or to either toys or steamy books. And one day I'm just sitting here answering another DM about, whatever sex toy they were asking about. I'm like, oh my God, what if I put them together like wine pairings, but I call them pleasure pairings? And what if I make it, a subscription box and they get it and I'll give tips. And we have a book club. We have a Facebook group where we do book club chats on the books that are featured in each of the boxes. And, it's been a wild ride ever since, and I love it.
So how do you select the books and how do you select the toys? Do you test drive them? Like, do you have like some sort of process? You're like, I need to know.
Sure. I always joke that it's kind of an art form. So all the books that are featured in the boxes, unless I'm partnering with someone, I have read and chosen for the box. So it just depends on if a book really appeals to me, I've got enjoyment out of, or it's been highly recommended by our Facebook group members. But basically, I'm looking for a book with a heroine that is kick-ass and whatever, in her own way. And she is, I'm trying to find the word. She has the agency to choose what she wants out of life, right? And one of those things is sexual pleasure. So definitely I'm looking for things with books with a lot of steam. And just based on the themes of the book, I will choose toys from there. And because I've been in the industry for so long, like I kind of know what types of toys are out there. Like there's not a lot of new designs, they're kind of the basic shapes. And people will add, they'll like combine different benefits to them. So maybe like one might vibrate and thrust or whatever. So I can look at a toy and see, and then I have contacts where I can order samples just to take a look at for quality. If it does what it's advertised, is easy to use. A lot of them come with IKEA style instructions. So I try to explain that in the box insert because and the print is really small, but I figure like that should not be a barrier on using your fun toy. And the other thing that I also look for is that toys with packaging that doesn't center on the male gaze. That's really important for me because a lot of my subscribers are women and they may be new to toys or just, just kind of wading into the pool. So I don't want the toy to feel intimidating by showing a picture of a model with, not realistic proportions or in a way that or they're in a pose that maybe won't appeal to them. And, we as women, I think tend to compare ourselves, whether we try to or not, to, what the media portrays as beauty.
I love this. I love this looking at it from, holistic point of view and critically, to share with your being mindful of what your audience needs and meeting those needs, like they're beginners. They may not want to look for something that's like not realistic,
Definitely. And a lot of it is personal too. Like these are the things that appeal to me. I like a pretty toy. I like a toy with some bling on it, or like the new thing right now is rose gold toys. Like I love rose gold, and why not?
So speaking of those, like what are some of the new trends? You mentioned rose gold as a new trend for sex toys. What else is like up and coming that we should look into?
Oh, well, suction toys are really big right now. And what I love is that when they first came out, they were very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And now there are many companies making them at different price ranges. So the toys are more accessible because, you know, not everyone wants to spend $200 on a toy. They don't know if it'll work for them. So why not buy one that's 30 or 40 bucks, test it out, you know, and say, hey, I kind of like, you know, what this does. Maybe when I'm ready, I'll upgrade to a luxury model.
I love this. All right, so let's chat about happy endings. So, what was the source of inspiration? Although I think it's like some sort, you know, sex toys and then selling them and just creating that setting that's something similar to your life. At the same time, like, how do you decide it was a second chance romance? Yeah.
Well, definitely there's some real life inspiration, but mostly I wanted to write a Vietnamese-American character that bucked stereotypes. You know, when people think of women selling sex toys, they usually don't think about Asian women. You know, we're often fetishized and thought as submissive and meek. And I wanted to show people like, here is an Asian woman who's proud of who they are. They're learning about these products and they're not afraid to teach others about something that was perhaps lacking, you know, growing up. You know, a lot of cultures don't talk about sexual pleasure at all in any way, right? We have to, you know, scour the internet and read romance books to find those things. So I wanted to write Trixie, you know, just some, you know, a different character that you wouldn't expect to see, that hasn't been portrayed in the media well.
Yeah, I love that Trixie was just a strong heroine who had a girl group who was like supporting her and she had big dreams and she went for it. You know, I think there was like something to be said about that heroine just trying to go through her journey, and love is just like an added bonus, but it wasn't like the whole purpose of like, you know, like the whole purpose of like, yes, we're reading romance and we're gonna get the happily ever after, but her happily ever after also meant, you know, going and build her brick and mortar store and trying it out and having a group of girlfriends who were like, we got your back, you know, we'll look down on him, you know.
Yeah, no, exactly. And, you know, and I've said this to my husband, we've been together a long time. And I say this to my children, you know, like, I love you, but you're not my entire pie. Like as a person, I need other things. You know, like I love being your mom, I love being your wife, but I also need other things to do, like running a business, writing. Like those are the things that make me happy. And doesn't mean that I love them less because of it. And I think that's important for women to tell their families and to model for other women in their lives and girls.
Yeah.
And yeah, I knew when I was writing a book, I wanted a good like girl gang, like, you know, great group of girlfriends that lift each other up. And I love the Boss Babes so much.
I love the boss babes. I realize like in real life, you kind of have to have those boss babes. Like, you know, like you gotta have your girlfriend group who's gonna have your back and you're gonna like, they're gonna support you and they're gonna call you out too. You know,
Yep.
like it's a two-way street, but I think it's like that's like it added a bonus. Like I felt like it was Trixie's story, like this is well Trixie's story, like just growing and trying to figure out her own way and coming to terms with her own like process, like sexuality and her business and her life, and just like the hero was just kind of like it was important, but it was the main point, and I love that. I really love that process.
Thanks. I don't know what to say. You know, like Andre, he had his own issues too, but she wasn't going to let him get in her way of it, you know. And I think that's important to know herself.
Yeah, like she was like, he put the ultimatum and she was like, oh hell no. You know, I know she had some hesitation, but it was like reality is like, you know, like you gotta do what feels right for you. And I feel like that's what makes the whole point, you know, like you gotta follow your North Star, you know, to take you to where you need to go next.
Yeah, and sometimes the path isn't straight, right? Or if you don't know if the decision you originally made is the right one. So I think that she definitely had her own journey to get there.
Yeah, she did. So what are you working next? Are we getting books for the Lost Babes?
Well, I am working on some more Boss Babe books. That's probably all I can share right now, but
That sounds
hopefully
good.
I'll have good news in the future.
That sounds good. Yay. Yeah, I really was like, I just on their journey. I just want to hang out with them. Like, I'm like, it just want to just be one of those meetings where you're just like eating good food and just like chatting about business and stuff.
Right? Who doesn't want a squad where you can hang out with and drink and eat
Yeah,
good food? And yeah, no, we all need a squad like that.
we do. We all need to. So, what kind of books have you read this past year that you recommend?
Oh my goodness. Let me tell you, last year was not a great year reading wise for me. I think it was just so hard to concentrate, but I kind of hit my groove towards the end of the year. I have been listening to audiobooks and not a romance, but I can't stop thinking about it. Is The Black Sun by Rebecca Rowanhorse. It's a fantasy based in, inspired by Meso-American cultures. And it's, if you read fantasy, you'll love it. And then romance, Big Bad Wolf by Suleika Snyder.
Mhm.
I've read her contemporary, and I don't know if she's written other paranormal, but this is a wolf shifter and a heroine. I mean, she's amazing. She just didn't let the guy. So the guy's her love interest is a wolf shifter, and she did not take any crap from him. You know, she said like, if this is what you want, fine. I'm not going to be involved, or if this is what I want, you got to be on board or not. And I really like that about her. And Slika created this amazing world with um, all these different creatures and diverse people of different sexualities. And I'm looking forward to reading the next book in the series.
Oh, this is so exciting. I actually owned it. I pre-ordered that book because it's like it's one of those books I was like, I need to read it. And then there's too many books to read. So
There's also a scene where they have sex against a wall in an alley. So if that helps you
yes,
pick it up sooner.
yes, basically it does. So thank you. Let's see. Tell us where you can find you online.
I am online at my website is thienkimlam.com. And I'm on Twitter and Instagram as Ms. Thien-Kim, Msthienkim. That's my roots back to Ms. Magazine when I started reading as a teen. And you can find my books at pretty much any major retailer.
I love this. Thank you, Tim Kim, for being on the show.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this podcast, feel free to share with friends, subscribe, rate, and review the show. This is the easiest way to support the podcast. For book recommendations, author interview archives, and other fun book resources and tips, please visit watchrenextblog.com. The Watch Renex podcast is part of the Frolic Network. To discover new shows to listen and love, please visit frolic.media/podcast. Thank you so much for listening and have a great day.